Shields up, Ironbreakers. Rurikhan here coming at you with another video. And last Tuesday, I actually got to go down to Nintendo and check out their upcoming console, the new 2DS XL, as well as some of the upcoming games that are coming for the 3DS. Those games are Oasis, Hey Pikmin, and Miitopia. And let's talk about all this stuff, shall we? Let's start right down into the new 2DS XL, which is something that I personally did not see coming. I thought what Nintendo was going to move towards was to slowly, phase out the 3DS. And I do mean slowly, as in the span of years, because the 3DS is just so brutally successful that Nintendo just can't afford to all of a sudden just like, hey, just forget about the 3DS. It's all Switch now, even though I know that is what I personally would like and what a lot of people that I know would like, for them just like, listen, forget about the 3DS, now we're all about the Switch. Because you know that there are the 3DS has one of the most fantastic library of video games of any platform, as far as I'm concerned. It's got a lot of really good exclusives, it's got some really good third parties, it's just got it all, basically. Like when you're talking about, a really, really good library, you'll be hard pressed finding a better library than the one, I shouldn't say a better one, I would say a more complete library than the one available on the 3DS, with some really good games and some really good variety. And that is obviously something that they still don't have on the Switch, so they can't afford to just like, hey, forget about the 3DS, we're all about the Switch now. But if they were to do that, it'd be great having all of those studios that are doing all those really great experiences for the 3DS, just flat out developing all that stuff for the Switch. That would be amazing, but obviously that's not going to be the case, at least not in the near future, because Nintendo came out with a new platform, the new 2DS XL. Now, we knew that Nintendo was going to keep supporting the DS lineup for as long as they are going to keep supporting the DS line for as long as they can possibly do so, because it's just like, it's a no-brainer. They have a really huge install base, they have a really huge library, so it's a no-brainer. But again, I don't think a lot of us expected them to go out and just launch a new one, and to top it off, a 2D only. Now, some of you guys might be confused by this, but it's actually pretty simple, and let me break it down for you. Most of the people that play their 3DS, most of the time they do it in 2D mode. Now, there's definitely a chunk of the 3DS audience that likes playing in 3D. I'm a part of that chunk. I like playing a lot of video games in 3D, but a lot of times, like, depending on, maybe I'm in a weird position, maybe I'm lying down or something, and I don't feel like adjusting the screen for the 3D to be perfect, and I just want to, like, whatever, I just want to play this game, boom, bump it down. So sometimes I'll do that. Other times I will play full 3D because I like the 3D effect. I think it makes the graphics look sharper, personally. I think it looks a little bit blurry when you put it in 2D mode, but that's just me. And so it makes sense to have a DS version that is only 2D, and that it is XL because it's got the biggest possible screen. I mean, I wouldn't say the biggest possible. It's basically the same size as the screen on the 3DS XL. As a matter of fact, I was checking it side by side with the 3DS XL, and I'm pretty sure the screen is exactly the same size as the screen on the 3DS XL, as well as exactly the same quality. See, this is where I was a little bit disappointed, because I was looking at that commercial and looking at that big screen that they have on the 2DS XL, and I was hoping that screen was a little bit higher quality so that they could, since they're only focusing on the 2D, they can maybe simplify the technology on the screen or something. I don't know, but just make it, I don't even know what to say. It's like the thing that I was thinking about was like, you know how when you're looking at 720p on a computer monitor and it looks bad, but you look at 720p on a TV and it doesn't look nearly as bad. It actually looks pretty good. And I was hoping that they would have done something like that on the 2DS XL. Maybe change the technology behind the screen or something, so that it would be a little bit better. But no, it is exactly the same quality that you would find on a 3DS with the 3D turned off. It is exactly the same, at least as far as I can tell. I was playing on it for an hour or so, I think. I played the 3 games that we talked about. And it's not a bad thing, but I wanted more, because I was really thinking about getting one of these. And after playing with it, I was like, maybe I don't need it, because I have my regular 3DS, the one that I do capture stuff with, and the screen is fine. It's not like my 3DS is damaged in any way. It's just I was thinking I wanted something with a bigger screen, because after you play the Switch, you're like, man, this really big screen, I love playing on this thing because the screen's so massive. And I was just thinking, man, I want one of those 2DS XLs because the screen's so big. And I'm still thinking about it, if I'm being completely honest. But I don't know, I'm very, very indecisive about it because I wanted that screen to be better, basically, is what I'm saying. And it's not a bad screen. It's just not better than the 3DS screen, which is something that I wanted. I wanted them to really focus on the 2D aspect of it and just try to make the best screen they possibly could. Instead, they grabbed pretty much the same technology you have on the 3DS screen. It's on there. It's just like if you were looking at a 3DS with the 3D turned off. That's pretty much what that screen looks like, which again, not a bad thing, but not as good as I was expecting. A couple of more things about the new 2DS XL. Obviously, it's going to run everything that the new 3DS runs. So like those specific titles that get more benefit from running on the 3DS on the new 3DS models, like I believe Hyrule Warriors would run at a faster frame rate, and on the old consoles it would actually run pretty terribly. Actually, I think it doesn't even support 3D mode in the old consoles or something like that. You also have Xenoblade Chronicles, which is exclusive. It only runs on the new 3DS. It's also going to run on new 2DS XL. So, you know, all of the processing power from the new 3DSs and stuff like that. It's also got that C-Stick. Works just like the one on the new 3DSs. The stylus, I think, was a little bit smaller and thicker. Not that that matters very much. But the really, really good thing about the 2DS XL, you know, apart from the fact that it's got the big screen, it's got the clamshell design as opposed to the previous 3DS, the previous 2DS model, which looked like a wedge of cheese. And I gotta be honest, the design on the previous 2DS was not appealing at all. At least to me personally. And I understand it was a product that was more aimed towards a younger audience so that they could move it around and not break the hinge and all this other stuff. But even still, I never really liked the design of the old 2DS. It looked too much for that younger audience. So this one actually looks like a cool product. It's got the clamshell design, which is great so that you can close it up, put it in your pocket, take it with you. And it is lighter than any of the other models. It's lighter than the 2DS, and it is much lighter than the 3DS XL. But again, the most important thing is the fact that you no longer have to unscrew the back of the console to get access to the SD card. The SD card is sitting right next to the same place where you put your DS cartridge. Which is very convenient if you happen to have a lot of digital titles and you want to like just swap the cards on the go, because I believe you can do that. I believe you can just swap the SD cards on the 3DS. I'm not entirely sure, but I think you can. So having that accessible is a pretty good thing. It is a pretty good improvement. So it's like you might be thinking, so who exactly is this console for? Well, maybe someone whose 3DS is not in good shape. Maybe it's a little bit beat up. Maybe it's a little bit scratched up. Or maybe you just never really got into the whole 3DS thing because you think 3D is a gimmick, which a lot of people do, and that's fine. That's a valid opinion. Well, the 2DS does not have that 3D stuff, so you're not going to be paying extra. It's gonna cost like $150 on the States, I think, so I'm assuming it's going to cost around the same. It's going to be a one-to-one conversion for Europe, so it's probably 150 euros, I would imagine. So it's going to be, I believe, cheaper than the new 3DS XL, but a little bit more expensive than, it's going to be more expensive than the regular 2DS. So there you go. You know, it's again, Nintendo's covering a wide variety of price points with their consoles at this point. And I know that a lot of people are going to be confused. So should I get this? Should I get the Switch? What should I do? And ultimately the answer lies, which library do you want to have access to, you know? And do you intend playing this? Do you want something that also plays on your TV? Or do you want just something that you play on the go? Obviously, the 2DS XL is the more portable device because you can basically, clamshell design, you close it up, put it in your pocket, you're good to go. Whereas, I mean, you're not really going to be putting your Switch in your pocket. And sure, I assume that you can physically put your Switch in your pocket, but let's face it, don't fucking do that because you're probably going to break it, you're probably going to damage something, okay? Don't put your Switch in your pocket, please. Get a carrying case or something, put it in there and take it there. That would be my advice, personally. But yeah, it's like the 2DS is going to have the portability. It's going to have a decent sized screen. It's like if I was buying a DS right now, I would definitely get a 2DS XL. Because I don't think the 3D. I mean, then again, it's like it's kind of unfair because I've experienced the 3D. You know, I know what it's like, and to me, it's not as important anymore. I don't think as at least definitely not as important as having a bigger screen. So I don't know. It's going to depend on whether or not you care about the 3D stuff. That's going to depend on you, basically. The console still features as many cameras as the other consoles had. So you have a front-facing camera. It's not in the same position because, like, on the regular 3DSs, it would be on the top. This one is actually on the hinge itself, like, you know, the hinge thing where you close the clamshell console. The two cameras are on the bottom portion of the 3DS as opposed to being on the top portion. But again, these are not really important things. I think from a design standpoint, the console actually looks really good. It does feel a little bit plasticky, whereas the, I mean, all of the DSs feel plasticky, but this one, because it's lighter, I don't know, it's kind of weird. It's almost like you want your devices to be as light as possible, but at the same time, you also have, there's also that connotation that you get where it's like heavy is quality, you know? So it's a little bit weird. So the fact that it is lighter can be seen both as a good thing and as a bad thing. I think it's overall a good thing. It's just something that I'm not used to because like my 3DS is heavier than that, and mine is like a regular 3DS. It's not even the 3DS XL. And that one is still lighter than my 3DS. So it's basically like, it's an optimized, revised version of a 3DS that only outputs 2D. And it's not a bad thing. It's not a amazing thing either. It's basically, if you don't have a 3DS anymore for some reason, you lost yours, it's broken, whatever, and you want to get the DS, this is a good product to get. If you're just thinking about getting into DSs, this is a good product to get. But ultimately, I still think Nintendo's biggest bet is going to be the Switch, because the Switch is, in my opinion, a superior product. But again, you have a huge library. So if you've never gotten a DS before and you're thinking about it, this is probably the one to get, because it's like it's got the revised design with, I don't know about battery life because I only got to play it for like an hour or so, so the battery life is going to be one of those things. But the thing is, not having 3D is definitely better for battery life when it comes to the 3DS, because I've been doing experiments on my own, and I noticed that turning on that 3D or turning on Wi-Fi and your battery just like, it's gone. So not having 3D is definitely going to mean you're going to be able to play it for longer periods of time. But then again, on the other 3DS, you could just turn the thing off, so whatever. But yeah, that's my opinions on the new 2DS XL. I'm still considering getting one because, you know, for personal use, I think I would still like playing that better than the one that I have. But I don't know, I'm like super indecisive because then it's like, how am I going to capture stuff? Am I going to just stop capturing 3DS stuff? I don't know. I'm super indecisive. Like, if only they would just sell these with an HDMI out, I would buy one because I want one. But at the same time, it becomes a hassle to then do content with it. But that's like a YouTuber's problem, so it's whatever. So the other thing that I did, like I said, is I played a couple of games. So let's really quickly go through Miitopia and Hey Pikmin. So Miitopia, the best way that I would describe it is it's got the classic Final Fantasy combat with Miis. Basically, that's what I would call it. So you get a party of Miis, you go out into the world, the exploration is actually done, it's like the game asks you, do you want to go left, do you want to go right? You go and your characters, they just kind of start going off by themselves, and there will be encounters depending on the direction that you go through in the map. And in those encounters, you will then decide. I think you actually only control one character, though. The other characters, I think, are automatically controlled, because I think the idea is for this thing to like get Miis from other players and stuff, from Miiverse or whatever. And as you get these Miis from other players, they will have their own personalities and stuff that they will do, which will either make them stronger, weirder. Because like I created a Mii, and you could have stuff like you could have attitudes for your Mii. So I made my Mii a stubborn bastard, just like me. So he was a stubborn warrior, and so it was funny because like the one quirk that he had, because like these Miis will activate different quirks and stuff as you're playing the game. My character activated his quirk, which was like I was gonna get killed or something, And my character was like, no, I'm stubborn. And so he took the damage and didn't die. I thought that was funny. But yeah, you get control of one Mii character, and all the other Miis are like automatically controlled throughout combat. So you can choose to attack, do a skill. You can select your targets, and you know it's Final Fantasy combat, basically turn-based. Except everything is focused on the Miis themselves, which was actually fun, in my opinion. If you like that kind of stuff, Miitopia is going to be a fun game. The other game was Hey Pikmin, which is very different from regular Pikmin. Now, I never played a Pikmin game, personally, but I've seen Pikmin games, and I know that this game was very different. This is if I had to call it, it is a 2D platformer Pikmin. Or 2.5D, because technically speaking, the characters are rendered in 3D, but you go on a 2D plane. You guys know what I'm talking about. And you grab your Pikmin, and you throw your Pikmin, and they will do stuff. They will carry things for you that will help you like navigate the level. It was fun. You know, I wasn't like blown away by it, but it was fun. And then the other game that I played, which was hands down the game that I was most excited out of these 4, because I've been pretty hyped for this game since I've heard about it in one of the recent E3s. And that game is Oasis. So this is a game that it's basically it's kind of like an action RPG, but I almost feel like it's got elements from Animal Crossing, because you're essentially building out this oasis, and you get visitors that come into your oasis and they get registered, and the more people you have coming to your oasis, basically more buildings you can unlock. And so there's like this building aspect of it, and then there's also this action RPG aspect to it where you go out and you actually hunt for stuff. And the RPG mechanics on it are actually pretty good. Like, you will find different party members that you can take with you, and you can have a party of 3, I think, at any given time. And as you adventure, each of these 3 characters will have a special ability that will allow you to navigate, to proceed through levels. Like, some characters will be able to break rocks, other characters will be able to dig through the floor, other characters will be able to curl up into a ball like Samus from Metroid. And so there's different things that will allow you, these characters will allow you to do as you access different areas of the world. And it's going to be fun because it's got a little bit of a puzzling element to it, almost like a Metroidvania in an action RPG where you actually explore this 3D environment and you collect materials, and then these materials you can craft things, and you guys get the gist of what the game's about. I thought the art style was cool. I thought the combat was simple but decent. So you still have dodges, you have your heavy attacks, you have your light attacks, and at the same time, you're also going to have like special abilities that each character has, not only for solving puzzles and whatnot, but also for combat. So having the right characters with you at the right times is going to make stuff easier or harder for you. Like I said, I like the art style. It's a little bit of a chibi art style to it, but it's also got like a lot of influences from like those desert clothes and stuff, like belly dancers, that kind of thing. The animations were pretty cool, and yeah, you're basically going to be creating your own oasis as you recruit more and more people and as you advance throughout the world and unlock stuff into the world. It seems like a fun game. I want to spend some more time with Oasis when that comes out. But yeah, that was it for this video. We talked about new 2DS XL, these 3 games. If you guys have any questions about any of this stuff, leave it in the comment section below. I'll try to answer as best as I can. If you're new here, subscribe so that you're always notified when the video goes live. Thank you very much for watching. If you really enjoyed it, hit it with a like. Consider sponsoring. There's a link in the description. Thank you guys. See you on the next one.